Hello, and welcome to Bits and Bytes Live, a series of short conversations focused on topics that are relevant to communication service providers. Today, we are going to be tackling the subject of network performance. And to do that, I have with me Jason James, Senior Competitive Marketing Manager of VMware. He's part of the Service Provider and Edge business unit. And he has a lot of experience, hands-on experience, working with customers like yourselves in the federal space for quite a few years, and then doing a lot of hands-on proof of concepts for our customers in the telco world. And he also is very skilled at jujitsu and rides a motorcycle. So just a pretty cool guy, has a lot of street cred in addition to technical knowledge. I'm not quite as cool. My name's Karina Dahlke. I'm part of the Service Provider and Edge business unit. I'm a Senior Director of Product Marketing and Strategy. I don't do jujitsu. I used to do karate. Now I just run and do Zumba, and I drive a Chevy Bolt, which is not really as cool as a motorcycle, but I do love my little Chevy Bolt. So let's get started. We're going to dive into the topic of network performance. So what we're seeing today is a big paradigm shift, right? We've got a lot of pressures coming from all sides of the house. There's the pressure to constantly innovate, to constantly be different than your competition. There's the pressure of the ARPUs, or revenues, that are traditionally like more flat. So how do we get more out of our network, but without increasing those costs? There's also that shift from a traditional network where you maybe have just one or two key network providers and key people that are building out your network, where now there's so many different technologies, the move from traditional to cloud native, all using Kubernetes to go faster, to innovate faster. So just a lot of things going on right now, and a lot of pressure on people like yourselves to make this happen. So as we're talking about that shift, there's that pressure to be more agile, to be more flexible, to innovate faster, but you also have to keep up your network performance. And so what I wanted to talk to you, Jason, today about is, how do we balance those two? Do you have to give up performance to be more agile, or are you able to do both? So let's just take a moment.
I think, first of all, you need to know what agile is, right? And understand what agile is in a computing environment. To be agile is to be able to, one, change direction, shift, meet, manage, and accept different requirements from different applications inside your network. And also from a performance perspective, performance is relative. Performance is relative to what you're doing. So we need to be performant in the way we are, the way we accept, or the way we become agile. We need to be performant in the way we move packets through the network. We need to be performant in regards to latencies and maintaining low latencies at the edge and anywhere else in the network that we may need that. And so when you have these things, these items, this laundry list of things that you need to accommodate within your network, you need to design for that. And so, the answer is yes. You know, once you know that, hey, I need a network that needs to be agile, I need a network that needs to be performant. I need to select the right tools in the right places to accommodate where I need to have these things happen. And I think that, you know, as you think about your network moving forward and also preparing for the future, these are two things that are almost like requirements, right? You need to be agile, you need to be performant, wherever that needs to be, because guess what? We can't see the future and we don't know what that new killer app is going to be. We don't know what the next movement is going to be. And also to address, say, for instance, the agility, I need to be able to, within my network, within my business, I need to be able to adjust to that new wave, that new technology that allows me to make my network, my agile performant network, adjust to future business models. And that's what we want to plan for today.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point. I mean, when people were rolling out, you know, LTE 4G networks, there really wasn't that vision of the smartphone, right? And how that's just completely changed our lives. And so having a network that's prepared, that is flexible, that allows you to mix and match pieces, almost like a Lego set, right? Where you have a solid foundation, but then you're able to add the different pieces, the different variations, the different colors as you need, and then build from there, and maybe take off that top layer when you don't need it and you change it out for something else. So
yeah, and if you think about it, we have all of these like well, I would call them fringe technologies that are developing, that are waiting for connectivity to drive the success of those technologies. If you take a look at like digital twins and augmented reality, all these things are, you know, being planned on the application side. They're waiting for the driving infrastructure that's going to make those technologies successful. And in order to do that, to meet the requirements of those applications, we need to be planning for to be agile and performant as we look into the future. But we need to be planning for that today.
Right. Things like the metaverse and all of that, wherever that.
That's right.
Wherever that.
It's going to be built in there, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So in these new networks, right, that are just more agile, more open, there's a lot of vendors in those networks, right? So that itself introduces complexity, introduces innovation, because you have small players that can move faster and quicker and are coming up with new things, right? Or people who are developing apps on their own from their house or bedroom or basement or whatever, right? And so you've got a lot of different vendors. So it's really important to take a look at how do you manage performance across all of those vendors. You're going to have new clouds too, right? So that's not only vendors, but it's multiple clouds. Everybody is running their network not in one cloud or not only on premise. They're using multiple clouds. So how do you have any kind of best practices from what you've done in the past in terms of what are some of the things people should be looking out for when running multi-vendor networks? How to just make sure that that performance is up to par?
I think the first thing that we all need to be concerned with is the foundation, right? And the foundation for us, you know, when we think about a network, and when we say network, it's a very general term, you know, in terms of what we mean today. And so the foundation really from a compute standpoint is CPU memory storage, right? These are the resources that drive anything that we're going to do across our network, right? And we need to care and feed for those things. And so once you have a stable platform that one takes care and manages your CPU network and storage, then you can build on top of that. And then so now we're talking about a multi-vendor environment. So on top of that stable platform, you now need standard interfaces. You need standard interfaces. You need flexibility to deploy, to adjust for the requirements of those applications. You need also prescriptive design. What do I mean by prescriptive design? This means that things go together in a certain way all the time, right? And when you have a prescriptive design, that means we solve for a couple different things when in a prescriptive design. We solve for mean time to failure. We know when things are going to fail you. We know how long things should be running. We also solve for mean time to repair, right? So if I have a prescriptive design and the B slot breaks, I know that I need to go and fix the B slot, right? So then we get to standard interfaces, and you know we have lots of standards body driving the industry in the telecommunication space, and they're there for a reason, right? So we can get the community to buy into standard interfaces, right? Now the competition becomes not on this system, right, but also how well you can build your application using these standard interfaces, right? And so on top of, and then there's the certification of that application on the platform. And so if you take that layer cake, right, from stable foundation, standard interfaces, we move up into the application, we can now support because multi-vendor applications, because now we know how they fit together, we know where they should go, and everyone who's in a specific functional space should be using standard interfaces to interface with each other, right? So now we have a breakdown somewhere in communication, right? In the application, we can readily use the prescriptive design that uses standard interfaces to then identify how we should not only deliver the product, but fix the product and then maintain the product.
Right, for troubleshooting. And then and that's that prescriptive design is so important, right? So especially in that troubleshooting, because something will go wrong. It always will, right? Absolutely.
Yeah. And when you have say for instance prescriptive designs, or sometimes we would call them validated designs, and you follow these in this set of instructions or a way to do something, right? So that doesn't mean it's the only way, but a way to do something. It allows you to provide the documentation. It even, for instance, makes you more secure, right? Because now you have the documentation to then say, for instance, go back and say, what do we do? Oh, we follow this prescriptive design, right? And this is how, we solve for multiple different maintenance requirements. Some of the concerns in the telecommunications community as we move forward, right? One of the biggest concerns is support. How am I going to support this multi-vendor environment, right? Well, this is the I will say the 5-point process to start how we answer that question.
The foundation, yeah. And then you touched upon something, you talked about certifications, and I think that is really important when you're doing these multi-vendor designs, right? That include so many different partners, so many different vendors, to have some sort of certification ahead of time before you deploy this in your network, right? The idea is to do a lot of this testing, get a lot of those bugs worked out of the system before you go forward with that.
Yeah, you got to think about certification like, we were talking the other day, Karina, like about how can we describe this, right? That's going to land on somebody's ear so that they it's important. And, through conversation, we kind of came up with this analogy like if you take the IKEA set of instruction, if you're putting together a dresser that gives you, the instructions, you have the pieces, and then you have the picture of what you want to build as well, right? Then you get that amazing automation tool that you put everything together with, right? And you are the automation engine, right? Versus, say, for instance, in this analogy where you may get a castle bouncy house, and then immediately you unfold the thing, you plug it up in some air, and boom, you have a castle bouncy house, right? This is what in context, right? This is what certification of an application means, where I want the application, right? I don't want to have to go fix it. I don't want to have to get the pieces, right? I want to deploy the application. So this is how we go through a particular application, certify that application, understand that application, and then have that, say for instance, that automation routine, right? Input that automation routine into the platform and then deploy it. Boom, I have working ready to run application, right? This is how we reduce implementation time. Once we have a stable platform, right? Using standard interfaces. And so this is where we create a space where we allow application vendors to compete on how well they build their app, right? And not on controlling the entire system, right? This is how everybody plays well together, and we create new competitive spaces for I will say for everyone to get better.
Yeah, perfect. And shorten that time to market, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. So, as we have, we've been in the telco space for quite some time, and we know there's talk about what we can do and partnerships everywhere. And we kind of know sometimes the talk is a little cheap. So do you think, from how we look at the market, where do you see real things happening? Like in the labs, proof of concepts, trials, what's the reality of what's going on in the market when it comes to, companies, integrators deploying these applications because it's complex. What are we seeing out there?
Yeah, so we've seen a lot at VMware. You know, we have I don't want to make this a product pitch or anything, but VMware has a lot of experience out in the field, right? So we've got our solutions deployed with customers today in live networks. And one of the things that is really important to our customers is to make sure that we meet all the performance requirements, that we meet all the latency requirements. So we do a lot of internal testing. And this is just across the board. It could be any vendor, doesn't have to be VMware, but that's something that you want to make sure that your suppliers and your vendors are helping to do, vet the solutions in-house, and then also do third-party vetting. So we recently did a third-party test where we worked with an external agency called EANTC out of Germany. They ran a series of tests just to make sure that what we were saying in our slides, which we like, and they look really nice, and our data sheets actually works. And so we were happy. It turned out well. You know, it's always a little nerve-wracking going into a third-party test because, you know, maybe it doesn't work like it works in our lab. But one of the things that was really important was to show that we could meet jitter latency requirements through things like cyclic tests. So happy to talk about that. Another thing that came to light was the fact that our automation helps our customers quite a bit. And we were able to see this throughout the testing. When you have solutions that require more manual intervention, there's a lot more room for things to go wrong. And by having those different layers of the cake, those automation layers, that helps to put a workflow into place and helps to prevent any accidental misconfiguration or when you're deploying something that just gets slightly off. So that we find that automation helps our customers scale faster. And that's what it's all about, right? Our solutions are trying to make life easier for our customers because we know talent is hard to find. It's hard to find people that understand cloud and telecom. Things typically didn't mix in the past. It's just hard to find people who understand Kubernetes, and everything is going to cloud native. So that's a stretch for a lot of people also. So just having systems that are more automated and have guardrails in place help our customers focus on their business, right? So we don't want our customers wasting all their maintenance windows when they have to be doing security patches and they have to be upgrading their firewalls and they have to be constantly upgrading their network. We don't want to have them worry about all that infrastructure. So that's something that we try and take care of for them.
Yeah, no, I 1000% agree. I wanted to touch a little bit on automation. And, you know, sometimes when I talk to customers, you know, there's always customers that are at different phases of, you know, on their journey to automation, right? And I wanted to touch on that because, you know, a lot of, we'll say, competitors in the market, everybody uses automation as, hey, we have automation. Hey, we have automation. And I just wanted to let everyone know here that's listening, like automation is what that is actually. And so, you know, a script is, we'll say, the automation of a workflow. And then the automation that we're talking about is coordination of many workflows to get to a identified endpoint. And that's an important distinction because there is how I automated a process to get to, say, for instance, configure, pull a document or make a configuration. However, in a telco network, when we're doing, you know, using containers and we're configuring high performance, you know, real-time operating systems, and there's lots of options and buttons that need to be pressed precisely, right? And this is why automating is important. And this is why time to market is important. And this is how time to market gets impacted if these things aren't precisely done. And so this is something that we have, let's say, continuing to perfect, right? How we deploy and automate the deployment of and configuration of applications today and applications in the future. And so this is very important distinction in how we say automation and what we mean by that.
Perfect. Yeah. And then that analogy that you had before where, you know, there's a lot of solutions where you have instructions on the certain steps of the process, right? That building process. And what we try to do to help our customers is automate that entire workflow. So bring all those steps together. So you plug in the air blower and the whole bouncy house blows up right away. You don't have to do it step by step. So, okay, great. Well, thank you so much. I think we're at the top of our time here. We've really enjoyed spending time with you all and encourage you all to check out the resources that are available to you. And I thought maybe the other thing I might want to close with was like a joke. What do you think? It's a clean joke.
Sure, let's go for it. And we do have one question if we have time for it.
Oh, excuse me. Yes. Okay, let's do that first. The question is how to approach the customer explanation. How to approach with customer satisfaction. So meaning how to, I believe, how do you do this to make sure that your customers are satisfied or keeping your customers front and center?
I mean, the way I would approach that is really identify expectations, set expectations, understand customer expectations when building the network, the application, and also identify customer outcomes. And if we can align there on, you know, what I expect as a customer, what you're going to deliver as a service provider, and how we're going to implement that, and also, you know, understanding timelines and understanding the customer's business, right? How will the delay in our implementation of say application, say network impact the customer's business and future profits, right? And so we have to be mindful of that, how we engage. And then once we, you know, understand those commitments, we have to meet them. And that's how we want one, maintain a relationship, maintain customer satisfaction, and also build our reputation as a application provider, or service provider, or integrator.
Perfect. So align on expectations.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, well, I think we're ready to close off. Are you ready for the joke?
I'm ready for the joke. Let's do it.
Okay. Why is Tuesday so much? No, oh, I got it backwards. Why is Sunday so much stronger than Tuesday?
Oh, you got me.
Because Tuesday is a weekday. Good. It had to be clean. So
it had to be clean.
So, all right. Great to have you all with us today. Thank you so much. And we hope to see you next time on Bits and Bytes Live.
Thank you very much. This has been a great conversation, and I can't wait to do it again.
Yep.